Rebel Scum podcast. Available in video on YouTube and audio wherever you listen to your podcasts. Every week, Brock and James talk the latest rumors, news, and theories from a galaxy far, far away. Support us on Patreon for exclusive offers and join the Star Wars discussion. Patreon.com/Rebel Scum podcast. Here are your hosts, Brock and James.
Always scum. Rebel Scum.
Rebel Scum indeed. Brock is joining us in a short period of time. He's catching up. He's finishing off the season finale of the Acolyte. Season 1 finale. Will we get a season 2? We'll talk about that in the coming minutes. Joining me now on the top left is Disney Desi. Hello.
Great sons. Hello.
And on the right, we have executive producer Heidi Feder. Hello, everybody.
Hello there.
Oh,
General Feder.
Impression. Actually, that works pretty well. You should cosplay as an Imperial for that one.
You know what?
Like I said, Brock will be joining us. We just watched. Go on, Heidi.
I have friends from England, and I have such a really thick Midwestern accent, they couldn't understand me. So when I talk like this, they understood me completely.
Oh, perfect. So maybe we should all do the show with British accents, and we could all cosplay as Imperials. All right, Brock's going to join us in just a little bit. We watched the finale. We're going to get more in depth when he appears here. But for now, we watched the finale. Let's talk about the series as a whole to kick this show off, okay? The show kicks off. We have episode 1 and 2. Episode 3, we won't get into. But Desi, I'll start with you. What were your thoughts on now that the whole thing is wrapped up? What are your your raw thoughts? Like, without thinking too much about it, what are your raw initial thoughts on the Acolyte?
My raw thoughts are, when the show is good, it is amazing. And when it's bad, it can get kind of cringy. So I have mixed emotions on this show. But overall, I would say I enjoyed it, and I would be happy with the season 2.
Okay, Heidi?
I know, like Desi was saying last time we all talked, that she liked the individual episodes. But the way this show was structured, I think it had to be dropped all at once to really appreciate it. Like, I think maybe this episode was so good that it made last week's episode better. If you understand what I'm saying. I think if it was all in one storyline all at once, you're not going to be disappointed that this week's show wasn't as good as the one before that.
I think that the one episode I would love to see in a binge would be the 3rd episode, because it reminds me of that episode in season 2 of Stranger Things that everybody hates, where you meet Eleven's sister and it kind of goes off and side story. But I never had a massive problem with it, because right after the episode, I can go right into the next one, which takes us back to the A storyline. So that's one thing. I like the weekly drops, but I do think the way that they're telling these stories, they're telling them in more of that binge watching. They're not made to watch weekly. They're made to almost binge watch. And I agree with you, Desi, that when the show's good, it's good, and when it's bad, man. And I think that, and when I was thinking about it before this episode even started, I was just thinking, Skeleton Crew's coming out, so that thing has already made its bed, and we don't know what's coming up with that. But going forward, and I haven't seen a lot of the Marvel shows, so I won't speak to those, but I'll speak to the Star Wars ones. And what they need to, like after this show, it's almost like they need to figure out what are they doing, I think, is the big thing. Because this show, and I like 30-minute episodes, but this show, like this last episode, was 40 whatever minutes long, and it was by far the most fleshed out episode we got. And obviously the 30 minutes were hindering the writers' room, so either hire writers that work in that the sitcom hour, the Rebels writers that could do 22 minutes and do 30-minute episodes, or don't make them short. Like, I know there's budget and blah blah blah, or hire writers that can deal with that, or make your episodes longer. Because this episode, I don't know if it was my favorite. We'll get into that later, but it was by far, it felt like it was the most fleshed out episode. And that's not to say it had the most going on in it necessarily, but what was going on, everything like had a moment, and you just felt like it was going somewhere. And it at one point I'm like, oh, is it gonna stop short? And it didn't. It kind of continued the story, and it somewhat finished the story. It got to where, I will say, for me, I don't know how you feel. So Heidi, we'll go to you after I finish this point. But for me, like, it felt like it got to the point where this season was heading, and the future's the future. So I was kind of okay with where it ended. But but also when it ended, I turned to my wife and I said, I'm just not sure what the point of this show was. like, because we're like 1,000 years away. And now, by the way, spoilers for the finale if you haven't seen it. So if you haven't seen it, probably leave now.
Oh, shoot.
I'm about to I'm about to say something that's going to ruin it. Anyway, spoilers. We're 1,000 years from the Phantom Menace, and now we have 3 Sith living on an island, and potentially Yoda knows. So it's like, what was the point? I'm just not sure, like, because I don't know if we're going to get a second season, and I'm like, in the grand scheme of things, I'm not sure what the purpose was of this. But I felt like it was a satisfying conclusion to that weird sister story they were giving us all season. Heidi?
I mean, I was wondering how they concluded it. Not all my questions are answered, but a lot of them that I wanted answered were answered. We did find out, yes, that was I'm blocking the green alien. I'm blocking her name.
Vanessa?
Yoda.
Vanessa. We did find out that yes, he was her. That Kamar was her apprentice, and that was a whiplash on his back. I want to know what happened to Mother Cora. I think we got a glimpse of Plagueis, kind of peering out over the ocean, watching them leave. I thought when Vanessa was going into the council, I thought, oh, maybe Plagueis was hiding there, but it turned out to be Yoda, which was cool too. But I wasn't sure where that was going. A lot of things I saw coming. I thought it was interesting seeing a lightsaber blood. We've never seen that before.
Yeah.
I thought one thing I liked is when Anakin became Darth Vader. I'm not talking about putting on the suit. I mean, when he bows to Palpatine, you got the feeling that he's instantly evil. I think the point of this show is that nobody thinks of themselves as evil. And Osha does not come off as evil after switching to becoming a Sith into the dark side. So I think maybe that was part of it, was to show how complex characters can be, and not everybody is 100% good or 100% evil. And maybe it gives some credence to how Darth Vader was able to redeem himself at the end of Return of the Jedi.
From her point of view, the Jedi are evil.
Right.
Oh. Disney, what were your thoughts?
There were definitely aspects of this finale that I loved. I loved Plagueis, obviously. I loved the ending with Osha and Chimere holding hands and looking off into the sunset together. It got the Reylo ending that I wish that I had in The Rise of Skywalker. There were some things and I'm like, the mind wipe, like why couldn't they just both go with Chimere? I don't know. I loved Osha's ending. I don't think I loved May's ending. And I did call that Osha was going to kill Soul and bleed his saber.
Yeah, you did. I think the reason why May didn't go is because she didn't agree with what they were doing. I think that was the big thing. If she just didn't agree, and that was their but it does feel weird that now there's just like this random twin who's created by the Force, just kind of living away in the galaxy. Who knows what she's doing in season 2? I will say this: if there is a season 2, I hope she doesn't come back. I'm kind of over the twin thing. Let's let that. I don't know. I still feel like at the end of it all, it was still. I know it's supposed to be the main thing, but it was still like the thing I was the least interested in. Were the twins? I just didn't. I couldn't get on board with them. Like all season, I'm like, yeah, I get it, but I didn't. I didn't care. Like I didn't connect at all with that. Saul was interesting because at the beginning everybody's like, "I love Saul," and I was like, I didn't really love Saul." And then episode, maybe 5, it might have been. I think it was 5. I'm like, "Oh, I finally like Saul." And then 6, I was like, "I don't know if I like him anymore." And then obviously 7 he wasn't even in. And then 8, I'm like, "Oh, I think I like him again." And I hope, but at the same time, I was like, "I hope he dies. I hope they all die." And I know this is a weird opinion because people seem to hate on it, but the reality is the Sith is around. In the Phantom Menace, they say the Sith have been extinct for blah blah. They all gotta go. Like that was the thing. Like as soon as that red lightsaber ignites, every single one of them gotta go. But the thing that was weird to me was that Vanessa was like, he was a pupil of mine until he turned to the bad side. I'm like, wait, what? So wait. So now I don't know what a Sith is. I think I need to figure out what a Sith actually is, because if he turned to the dark side, like would that not make him a Sith? Or is that just like, or now I guess there's like 400 million different types of bad guys in Star Wars. So, but you know what I mean? Like, yes, don't go.
Snoke and Kylo Ren are not Sith.
Yeah, but they are. But they're not. But they are. You know what I mean? Like it's like I don't understand what the hell the difference is. I don't know what makes a Sith and just a dark like a bad use a dark force user just a dark force user. Has that been ever established anywhere? Someone get Bob Iger on the phone. KK fired. Absolutely fired.
It was just explained to me that it was a way to have inquisitors and more than the rule of 2.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. Is they were doing. Actually, Lone Phoenix has a question in the chat that I was wondering the whole time: was how did Chimere, the stranger, and May meet? Was he hiding at the bottom of the mountain when May fell? That's what I want to know. And I feel I don't know if you noticed this. So I was something I was wondering. I thought we were going to get that answer for sure. Like I found you when you fell. Hi, Dale. But what gets me is if you listen to it when they're talking about the virgins in the Force and how they were created from the Force, it cut to the stranger, to Chimere, right? It cut to him,
and he looks confused.
Obviously, I got a different look. I thought he was like, "This is what my master is searching for." That was kind of the what I was reading off of it. It was kind of like that. So was he there? Like, was he there for the same reason the Jedi were there?
Because it was a virgins.
Yeah, because and he was
Possibly.
trying to find something for his master, who we see a glimpse of earlier on, and that's how he ran into May. Like,
It's
was
obvious
that it?
he didn't know. He didn't know that the twins were created by
No.
the Force, or that they were the same person.
No, that yes, he did not know that.
I mean, I noticed he did the same mind to get the mask off of Osha. He did the same mind trick that the mother did with the Jedi who drank the poison. I'm blocking names right now.
Corbin?
Yeah, Corbin. He did the exact thing. He went to like a different dimension. Actually, I think Corbin, he experienced the same thing Corbin experienced.
Yeah.
I thought
his eyes went black and he went into like that different, into somebody's mind. And I guess she was suffocating, and that's the way he got her mask off.
I thought that she was projecting that, and basically she was doing what her mother did, and he was trapped, but he was still trying to get his way out of that. Like he did not, because when you see him and he looks like he's in that dark bluish cave or whatever, his eyes are normal, but then when you pan back, his eyes are black. So I felt like she was controlling him subconsciously. I didn't think he was doing that.
Okay, maybe I'm confused. Yeah, because he ended up looking at Corbin when he was in the in the alternative, that gray alternative existence, plane of existence.
In 4 weeks, we're going to see what he saw in that plane of
Right.
existence. That'll be that episode. Will all be what was in his head for that period of time. So as a finale, like I said, I felt like it kind of wrapped up the events of this season together, but the season was just so disjointed that, and I watched this episode, I'm like, this episode I'm like, where was this for the last 7? Like, we got this, I think we got this in your least favorite episodes, week 6. I think we got like a similar episode in that. If you combine 5 and 6 together, that's what this kind of was, where it's like, oh, here's a story, we're doing this. And we didn't really, there was something missing with this series. But then when it ended and I was like, what was the point of it? I'm like, but I'm kind of really on board for a second season. I was like, if you keep going, because look, when we were pitched the show, if you remember, we weren't pitched the show. Disney does not care what I think of the show. When we heard the Leslie Headland announcement, like they're doing the Acolyte, if you go back and watch the tape 10, 1,500 years ago, Brock, we were super excited about this show. Like, we're going to get the dark side. We're going to see what it's about, blah, 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 blah. We didn't really get any of that except for like episode 6. And now a little bit now. And now it feels like the next season, that's what it could be. And I'm like, if they give me that, don't give me the Venestra trying to, like, I mean, we'll get some of that, like sprinkle it in, obviously, but don't make her the focus of it like Saul and everybody was. Give me Chimere. Give me whichever one of the twins it was, and give me Darth, I'm hiding behind a cave pants. Give me those for 8 episodes, and I think I'd be very, very happy.
Well, it kind of came off to me like it could either like a faux series finale. You work in production, you can always tell like when an episode is it's usually like episode 13 if there's a 26 season. You can always tell like if a show is a fake series finale in case it doesn't get picked up. And I kind of got the feeling this was because a lot of questions were answered, but there were still open questions for a season 2. And I'm hoping there's a season 2 because I want to know how Chimere found May. Where was he? Was he on the planet the whole time? What planet was he on before that where he and Plagueis were hiding out? Does he know Plagueis is there? Is that the planet that that Plagueis was on in the EU? I want to find all that out. And now we know that Yoda knows what's going on. It's interesting they said Yoda had parents, but it's on the back of his head. So how much did he know? How much did he hide? How guilty is Yoda even in all this?
You don't know what Venestra even told him.
Yeah.
Right.
So she might not have told him any of that.
Right.
She might have told him the same version that she told the council.
I think she would tell him a little bit more. And I think if they do a season 2 and beyond, and Yoda knows, but he doesn't know everything. I think he can't know everything, but if he knows what he knows and he's hiding it, I'm hoping it doesn't take away from what we think of Yoda, but also I kind of hope it plays into like how he's like a prophecy misread, and he kind of knows, like when you watch the prequels, he knows a little bit more than he lets on through it all, and maybe that's why, and so maybe they could do it in a way that actually enhances those moments in the prequel trilogy, which is what the Clone Wars cartoon show was really good at doing. I don't know if the writer's room on this show is capable of doing that yet. I can't figure it out because it's like depending on who was doing. Like it's just every episode, like this show more than any other show. That even like the lower tier Star Wars shows, in my personal opinion, I never felt like, what are we gonna get this week? Like this show, I was like, what is it gonna be? Am I gonna be like that was cool, or is it just like what? Like it was like I just never. It was like I don't know. It was like I closed my eyes, put my hand in a bag, and pulled something out, and every week it was something completely wildly different. I couldn't figure it out. I still think time is an issue in this show. Like I'm not sure how distance works. Like this ship gets here just before this ship, but they leave 6 days later. I don't really know how it's all working. And I will say, Saul, like I said, like Saul was a character I wasn't completely on board with at the beginning. Everybody else was, and I was like, I don't know. when it ended, I was like, I kind of think I like Saul, but I was like, is he the dumbest Jedi alive? Like, like
Oh,
May just like, but May like completely outsmarts him like every turn, like Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunners him, and I'm just like, I can't figure it out. It's like you can like also sorry, you know my biggest beef with this show was how do people just vanish like Batman? Like everyone just vanishes like Batman. Like they're on rubble? Is there no footsteps? Is everybody light as a feather in this universe? I need to know. Also, the lightsabers still don't sound great, but that I won't let it hold my judgment against it. I just wallow in my own self pity for that one.
I will say something at work. Somebody told me they listened to another podcast. I'm trying to get them to listen to this podcast, but we'll see. Anyway, he said that the character of Chimera was not supposed to be a very big character or a major character. What happened was the actor was just so amazing in the part that she made his character bigger than originally planned. So I think what happens is she just put him in to give him more time, and other things got sacrificed because they only had like a limited space to make the story in.
But he still didn't do anything. Like he did something in episode 6 and this episode. Like he doesn't have a big See, I will. You know what? That's something I don't know if I believe that, and I would believe that on a 22 episode show that spans like a year. But this show was written 8 episodes. I think it was cast when the whole thing was written. So I don't know how much they would have reworked for an actor because they would probably like I don't know how much they would rework for an actor while they're shooting with such a tight schedule like that for 8 episodes. But he was, in my opinion, he was the strongest actor on the show. I thought he was phenomenal, and that's why I'm like, if you do a second season, focus on him, focus on that guy, give me more of him because I thought he was great. And how old is he?
how old is Imri? When were the High Republic books? Because isn't he Imri? Is he not her Padawan that went missing?
I don't know. I know she had a Padawan because I have seen the tweets out there. I don't read the High Republic books. That's a good point. Is it the same? Is he the same person?
I mean, it's all the same letters except you put a Q in there as well. It's
I don't know. Is that how you spell his name? Marie?
You spell his you spell it Qimir.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's all the same letters plus a Q, but it's not necessarily in the same order.
All right. Well, when Brock gets on, we can ask Brock because I knew she had a Padawan from secondhand knowledge. Like I haven't read it myself, but I knew she had a Padawan, and I just assumed that he would be, which you should never do. But I assumed that he was a different Padawan, like he was Padawan 2, or 1 or whatever 3. Vanessa's over 100 years old, so he could be 2, says Dale, who is our Wikipedia. Our own Rebel Scummopedia is what Dale is. Interesting. So yeah, I like that was something I'm very like. His character for me was more fleshed out than any other character on the show, and we got 2 seconds of him.
But
explaining it.
It's wild because he's basically not there, except for in tiny cameos the first half of the season. You barely see him at all. Episodes 1, 2, and 4. He's not even in episode 3 at all. And then he shows up in episode 5, and it's mind-blowing, and it's amazing. And that was absolutely the highlight of the season was episode 5. I also loved episode 6, getting to know more about him and his backstory. And then we have to go back to episode 7, which is basically just a rehashing of episode 3 that I felt was not necessary. When you're talking about, like, you wish that the episodes were longer, I wish that one was shorter. Like, just take the bits out of it that we needed. I thought the way that they should have done it was show Sol telling May, his side of the story, and then Chimir explaining to Osha what, either he saw because he was also spying on the witches, or what May had told him, and then see Osha's reaction to it. And then that would kind of help explain, maybe May feels sympathy for Sol and is like, oh, okay, I didn't see it from your point of view. Yeah, if somebody turned into a big cloud of smoke all of a sudden, and started dissolving a child in front of me, I'd probably freak out too.
Yeah, an evil smoke thing. Absolutely stab that thing. Stab it. Brock, you ready to come in? I'm gonna add Brock in. Hi, Brock.
Yay.
Today on episode 2 of Lost with the Smoke Monster. Oh, season 2, let's go. This is the episode I've been waiting for. I loved it. Sorry I'm late, Desi and Heidi. I was watching too late. I was like,
He got held up.
Tonight is
He got-
Wednesday.
He got held up in Toronto.
Tuesday?
Flooding.
Wednesday? Where are we?
Oh,
Yeah, exactly.
I
Yeah.
just
Did
would
you
say,
guys like that episode?
I would say that was my second favorite. Maybe 5 was my favorite.
I'd say it was my third favorite. I think 5 was my favorite, followed by 6. Well, maybe 6 and this one were tied for me, but 5 is still my favorite.
I would say 3 was the best one, followed by
my
7.
gosh.
3 is the one. If they made a DVD box set, I would take the third disc out and I would just throw it in the throw it. I would just be like, I don't want to see this again. And I would put episode 7 in where 3 is. Did anyone else think? Sorry, hi Brock. So did anyone else think when Saul was finally saying his piece to May that he was just gonna like get killed at that moment and he wasn't gonna finish the story, and that would be like the perfect button on top of his character for the season, that he never finishes his damn stories?
I legitimately thought that that's what was going to happen. That as soon as he said, yes, I did, that all of a sudden we were going to see a blade come through him and he wasn't going to be able to say, and it was a mistake, or, I didn't know what I was doing. She was a cloud of smoke. How was I supposed to know that would have killed her?
Yeah.
How was that detail missed?
It would just go written in with black screen, written and directed by George Lucas. It's like,
Brock, now that you've seen this finale, now you've seen the entire season as a whole. We talked about this a little bit before you came on, but how did you feel the finale? Like, how did it succeed or fail to you? Because I felt like this one landed where Ahsoka did not.
Oh yeah, it's much better than Ahsoka. I don't know if I like one over the other yet. I definitely want to rewatch the show, and I haven't really rewatched Ahsoka. Like, I really enjoyed this.
Better.
Oh really? This one? Yeah, I can see that though, because like the characters are a little bit more interesting, right? Like Ahsoka, you're like, yeah, this is the crew we miss, but then nothing really happens with them. You know what I mean? So it's like my only complaint about this episode is like, oh, the Osha and May characters are very interesting, and we should have just been with them the entire series. You know what I mean? Like, I know we were, but like, I feel like this episode, I'm like, oh, there's something really interesting about them, and it's just like the show worried too much about everybody else. Does that make sense, or am I crazy?
You just said the exact opposite of what James said.
Exact opposite. I was like, I did not care about these twins. I'm not even joking, but but to that point though, if they would have focused on them, maybe they would have been interesting to me, but they weren't, because I said they weren't interesting, but I also did not connect with them in any way. I connected with Kymir, the stranger, was like, this is where I want to be. I want to focus on this character. Because the twins, I don't know, there was something just missing for me with those two in this series.
It occurred to me when they were like, I mean, they explained that, at least Osha, she knows how to like fix things and build things, and I think they revealed that with May as well. But it's just sort of like this one where like she uses Pip to get out of the free herself or shock Soul, and then Osha is able to reprogram the elevator, even though it's been like, it's like, I was like, oh yeah, like they're good with machines, and I'm like, I forgot that, but that's what I mean. It's just like, well, we could have gotten a little bit more, and then perhaps this would, outside of like the mystical side of like, oh, that's cool, can we get another episode about that? And you're like, no. So yeah, I guess I can agree with you on that, James, because it's just sort of like, it's like, oh, by the way, this as well. It's just sort of like, yeah.
I think that was the show's biggest flaw, was it didn't know what to focus on, and so it's tried to focus on too much. And then again, the run times and the length of the series didn't allow it to do that.
Well,
I
if you
think-
notice, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I think for me the biggest flaw of the show was that they made too many mysteries. Like the first
Yeah.
half of the show was just all mystery, mystery, mystery. And then the second half of the show, like episodes 5, 6, 7, 8, was just all answering all of those mysteries. And I wish I had more answers and less just setting up all of the questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna have a lot of unanswered questions at the end of a season, of the season finale, please make sure you have a season 2. I'm like so scared that
Yeah.
toxic fan base is gonna prevent a season 2 from happening, and you're gonna have to read a comic book. I have ADHD. I can't read comic books.
The High Republic Phase 4 is actually the Acolyte Season 2. You've all been duped.
But I don't know if you noticed, like, there were like hints what was going to happen, that May and Osha were going to switch sides. May had on dark attire. Osha had on dark attire when May had on light attire. Also, Pip was reprogrammed to be May's pal instead of Osha's pal. So they kind of like, and they're the same being anyway. I actually thought they were going to merge into one at the end of this.
Yeah.
To be honest with you.
Did you notice? Did you guys notice in episode 6? I think it was when Pip peed on May. he peed black pee, and when he peed on Osha, he peed white pee. Just pointing it out, the symbolics of evil Pip and nice Pip. Osha was turned to the dark side. Pip was Osha's, it was black. And when Pip was on May, who was the light side, Pip peed white. Just saying, go back and watch it. Leslie Headland, I see what you're doing with pee, Leslie.
But
Pip
he had
was
blue
dehydrated
eyes.
under OSHA.
That
he had
sounds
blue
like
eyes with
bacterial.
Osha and red eyes with May.
Pip
sorry,
needs a
have you-
urine sample.
I think I interrupted you again. I'm sorry.
What?
You were
What?
both talking at the same time, and accidentally interrupted you. Sorry. I want to get your thought out if you had something to say. Sorry.
Me?
No, Desi.
No.
Oh no, I was just saying that you're talking about the pee, but his eyes were blue with Osha and then
Right.
turned red with May.
Yeah.
So they reversed it. So I don't know what they're doing. It was just they just had fun.
Have we talked about this? Is our first canon, first on screen of a kyber crystal turning red? Because I was
Heidi
like,
touched
oh,
on it. Heidi touched on it. I wanted to save it for you. You've read the Ahsoka novel?
No.
Did you read it? No, only Fantasia's read. Have you guys
Yeah.
read it?
No.
No.
So only
guess it's
Fantasia's read
canon
it, but
now.
we all know. But I will say, when I read the description, I thought it was stupid. But in the show, I'm not gonna lie, I was like, yeah, I'm kind of okay with this because it showed like she's turning to the dark side. Now, when it turned on and it changed, I was like, that's kind of lame. But when you saw the kyber itself change from blue to red, I was like, all right. I kind of, you know what? I thought this was going to be dumb, but I like it. So I was personally on board. I don't know how you guys were, Heidi.
I loved it.
I thought it was cool.
Oh. Brock, you hated it.
I loved it, and especially because it started doing it before Soul is dead, and I'm like, it's just like it's like that makes that moment really like, whoa, it's gonna happen, and then like he goes through all the 5 stages of death. He's like acceptance, and I'm like, yeah, that was great. Now it's canon. Now it's real. Now red means bad officially.
I mean, here's the thing. Something like I touched on this earlier. Yeah, Kamar and Osha are now Sith, but they don't
Are
come
they?
off as evil people.
I'm still not convinced they're Sith.
Well, I mean,
Morally ambiguous. I love it.
Users. I mean, but
Yeah.
still,
I'm still not sure what.
acted like they were evolving into a couple at the end. Like I was wondering, does he really like her, or is he just using her? But I think he actually cares about her. And
I
vice
think
versa.
he cares about her, and it's interesting that he cares for her in a way that he didn't care for May, even though they are technically the same person. He's like, no, you're not your sister. And, he never revealed his face even to May, and he revealed literally everything to OSHA.
Yeah. Yeah, go back.
I do have a question.
I was gonna say, go
I
back
didn't-
and watch episode 6 with the audio on. It's completely
Oh,
different episode.
It is
I-
spicy.
So how did you guys feel about the lightsaber fight? Brock, we'll start with you. The lightsaber battle between Saul and Kimir, was that up to snuff with your expectations and hopes and dreams of everything?
Fantastic. Why wasn't it longer? You know what I mean? Like it just sort of, it's like,
'Cause
look
the
at what
episode
we
was
can
40
do
minutes.
now. I know. It's just sort of like you could have made at least one more episode, like one more episode and flesh things out. Or
This show could have used the Andor 12 episodes for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
For
I
sure.
mean, like, don't get me wrong. I love the Jedis that they introduced, the young Jedis, Jecki and Yord. Yord Horde. I'm like, what's the thing? Like, I love that, and I found them more interesting than the Jedi that are in the flashbacks. But it's just sort of like where we come to this episode, it's just sort of like their presence is just to be cannon fodder, which is kind of a bummer because their characters were really cool and we wanted to see more of it. Maybe just to make it more like, oh my gosh, they're dead. But like,
Yeah.
Like it's just sort of certain things. Like, I mean, James always says this, like, does this need to be a TV show or could it have been a movie? I think this could have been a movie with the same gravitas, just like cut out all the, like, Basil, cool character, kind of useless. You know what I mean? Like,
How
you know what I
dare
mean,
you?
though? No, I mean, cuteness aside, and we all know I love Ewok-sized characters, but like, what does he do besides be there?
Yeah,
Like,
'cause
he
that
pops up in
stupid
the episode, you're like,
forest.
oh yeah.
I hated that forest. That forest was like, they're like, the horde, you can't navigate this forest. We need a tracker. And then like the next ship that comes in is like, we found them, no problem. It's like, so is the forest hard to navigate, or did anybody go anywhere when they're in there? I don't get it.
The difference is it wasn't nighttime. When it's nighttime, everything is trying to kill you. That's why you stay inside. Yeah, but you're right, James. You're totally right.
Like, there was actually, I guess he was trying to bring the ship down, but why did Basil feel the need to sabotage the ship?
Yeah, I was
He
wondering.
turns on
Rocky.
the tracker back. Isn't that's his importance in this episode? To turn on the beacon, or did Soul do that?
I think Soul did that, but Basil crashed
Okay.
the ship.
Yeah.
I
So he could confess his crimes to them, so he could Saul, so he could wash away his guilt.
That's true. Again, a reason to rewatch this entire season. I might have slept through the last episode. I
you
was
were on vacation.
when-
You just
I
didn't
was on
watch
vacation. I forgot it was on Tuesday. They never show Vanessa Rose like whip lightsaber, right?
No.
Or did I miss
Yeah,
that?
they did.
No, just that one episode.
Beautiful.
No, they did in
show
episode
it?
before you yes, they did.
Did
You
they?
weren't here. You were working Jay's, and she whips a bug. She whips a bug with it, yeah. Because they showed it, they show it because later in the episode you see Kymar's back and he has the whip on his back. So they kind of show you it to foreshadow.
Man,
tell
I gotta
you that-
rewatch this series.
Have you read the High Republic books?
Yeah, so I knew of it, but
So-
her character. Yeah.
I'm assuming Chimere is Imri.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I should put you on full screen for that.
Yeah.
How old? Like how long ago was that? Because I'm trying to figure out how old Chimere is.
I like it, but the problem.
It's all.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, what I was telling them earlier before you came on is it's all the same letters in Chimere and Imri, except that Chimere has a Q in it.
Yeah, but my I only say this because I know Star Wars fans. The problem is the stuff with Ernestra and Emery are all like illustrated. You know what I mean? So they've shown the characters, and he's blonde. So all the Star Wars people will lose their collective minds. There is no hair dye in the.
No, you don't know. So when you bleed a kyber crystal, your hair turns dark also because it's dark side.
Ben Solo was blonde too.
I love it. I'm in.
Ben Solo was born blonde. Anakin was blonde. Actually, Anakin was blonde. So there you go. They're all blonde, and then they turn dark. What did you guys think of the mysterious?
Your Honor, I strike that from the record.
What did you all think of the mysterious Sith in hiding? And look, Desi, Brock, you can both say not Sith. I'm calling the bad guy Sith, and we're just gonna leave it at that. And we're not gonna argue. I'm just calling all bad guys Sith.
There's more than 2 now.
I'm calling them. Well, there was always more than 2. The master's got to kill the apprentice, and the apprentice has to kill the master, and it's a vicious cycle of Sith. Anyway, there's this bad guy that we'll call a Sith, waiting in the cave, watching. Brock, what did you make of this mysterious figure? Was it Plagueis? And does Chimere know he's there?
Well, here's the thing. I discovered quickly on that Disney Plus does not have a 1.5 speed. So I was like, I got to get through this episode to the point that I'm like, I can't keep them waiting. I will go online and read the synopsis now.
Oh my god!
And I couldn't find anything because the episode literally happened an hour ago. But like, yeah, there was mention of Plagueis, and I'm like, well, I can't not see this. Like, I can't go into the fight. So I was like, to Han, I'm like, oh, and then the episode ends, and I'm like, yeah. So I'm sure, why not? I'm gonna definitely rewatch that scene. So, oh god,
You're gonna watch the whole thing, Heidi?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe maybe Kosha is like CVP's grandparents or something.
Ooh, I like it. I like where this is going. Season 2 is all about the birth of CVP. Desi, what'd you think of
I meant Brock run.
Brock froze. He's so disgusted right now.
His mind was so blown with Plagueis showing up.
Desi, what do you think of we'll call him mysterious Sith in hiding?
Oh, okay. That one I will call a Sith for sure. That's definitely Plagueis. Either that or it just happens to be some moon character who's not Plagueis, but it still is evil and creepy and lurking in the shadows. No, it's Plagueis. It's Plagueis, and as soon as I saw it, I lost my mind, and my husband's like, "What is going on? Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Obviously, you've never heard the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise."
Obviously.
Yeah, well, and then I was like freaking out because I'm like, "Oh my God, Chimere is Imri," and he's like, "I don't even know what you're talking about." So,
and then he showed you a picture of Stamkos in Predator's gear, and you're like, "Oh no!"
And then I started crying.
Well, maybe that wasn't Plagueis. Maybe that was Chimere's frustrated roommate who.
I love it.
Bill, it's just Bill. That's Bill. He's smoking pot again.
He's like,
Bill.
"Hey, it's your turn to get milk. If you're going out, can you get milk?"
Get the green one. I'm sick of the blue.
Here's what turns Bill evil is that May was his girlfriend, and now that they've been swapped, and now it's Osha, and Osha's all about Chimere, and he's like, "What has happened?"
That's my ex, bro. I thought it was a neat reveal, and I liked one of the things I liked about the reveal was it was in the middle of the episode, and it didn't make us go to the end and be like, "Who is that?" Like it just kind of happened, and you're like, "All right, fine." I was half expecting the character to return again. I'm okay that they didn't. I don't think it was a big deal. But when I saw it, I was like, okay, so they're together. Chimere and Mystery Sith are working together. But also then I was like, but are they? Or is he following them? Because it's the virgins in the Force, like creating light. And if that is Plagueis, obviously everyone's assuming that it is. If that is Plagueis, that's what Plagueis ultimately wants, right? So it makes sense to like that he kind of knows that Osha and May are a thing and would follow Osha and May and try to figure that out. Or like I said earlier, possibly that's why so Brock, we're trying to figure out why Chimere was on the planet to save May at that point. And one thing that I think maybe it was B, I don't remember who it was, but I definitely thought of it was that maybe Chimere was there because of the virgins in the Force, also just like the Jedi. Like he was there for the same reason the Jedi were, and Plagueis has sent them there because he wants to find out how to create life.
Yeah, I can get behind that. Because like my first
Call me
reaction
KK.
was fired. No, because I automatically was like, this is like their test for Anakin or whatever. So it's just like, I feel like this is going to be their way of explaining how exactly it's okay if metachlorians doesn't make any sense to you. I fully get behind that.
And they do mention M count in this show a few times. So
Yeah.
Thank you, Disney. Let's talk about the end. Saul doesn't even die at the end. He dies close to the end. Let's talk about the big. Heidi, we'll start with you on this one. The big Yoda reveal. Were you how excited were you? And did you say, man, he should have been there from day one, and this should have just been about Yoda?
I mean, like I said earlier, I kind of get the feeling that. I mean, I thought it was going to be revealed that she was secretly a Sith and that she is corrupting the Jedi Council from inside. There are proofs of that by the whip marks on Chimera's back. She also just blatantly used the whip to kill an animal for no reason. I guess she was trying to protect her people, but it was almost cold-blooded in a way. She lied about Saul to cover everything up, and I honestly thought she was meeting with Plagueis at the end. I thought he was going to show up. So it's not that I wasn't thrilled to see Yoda, but we only saw the back of him, and I honestly thought she was sneaking off to see Plagueis.
Oh, that would have been cool. Brock, before I go to Desi on this one, reading the books, did you was her, because people have speculated that she's evil or whatever for a while, were you like, poo-poo, that can't be because of I've read the books, or did you think, no, they could put that twist on us?
Oh no, I honestly didn't think Vernestra was ever evil in this series until this episode, where like, oh, she's up to something, she knows things, she's like, there's something, and you know, she knows the evil guy, so like whatever. I was like Heidi, I was like, oh, is it gonna be an evil guy? And then it's just like Yoda. I'm like, that's still pretty cool, but I'm like, that's not what I expected. Yeah.
Does he?
When I heard her, when she went into the room and she said Master, before they panned down to see Yoda's head, the first thought in my mind was, we never saw Coral. What happened to Coral? Nobody doesn't, I think that she's still alive. And then I thought, or maybe it's Plagueis, because we kind of only saw him. I can't believe they would only show him for like a second in the middle of the episode and not pay that off again. But then when they showed Yoda, I lost my mind again. And my husband's definitely convinced that I'm crazy, because I was just losing my mind the whole episode.
My wife thought that Chimera was actually Coral, like in disguise, like force projecting a different appearance on it. She's convinced that she doesn't know the name Coral, so I'm not going to pretend that she said the name Coral, but she thinks that Coral is actually the main bad guy. I thought it was going to be Yoda right from the get-go, because earlier in the episode, she's trying to contact somebody. They don't tell you who. And I was like, oh, she's calling Yoda. I'm like, when the hell are we going to see Yoda? And once she opened the room, I said to my wife, oh, finally. And they panned down. I'm like, all right, good. We're good to go. Because where the hell is Yoda? Like, they're like, I did like earlier in when they're like, we won't bring this to the High Council, like in episode 2, I think it was. Like, we're not that far along yet. But now we are. And to your point earlier, Desi, I don't know if you're on this listening, if you were on yet, Brock, but she pointed out we don't know what Vernestra says to Yoda. She could say the same poop story that she tells May, right? That's what she could tell. She could tell the one that she made up, or she could tell the one that she made up in front of the counselors, like chancellor. She could make it. We don't know what she tells Yoda. And a part of me is hoping that she tells the truth, so Yoda kind of has this when we get to meet him in the Phantom Menace and stuff, when all this stuff is hitting the fan, as he's like, ooh, maybe we missed something here. Maybe, you know, because he kind of has that vibe to him anyway, where he, like, you know, he says the prophecy misread, and there's this nice, there's little things where he's like, there's something more at play here. And I was just disappointed that Kiadi Monday didn't come in again, so we could all argue about his freaking age one more time. That's really what I was hoping for. Like, how am I supposed to get through my week without arguing over whether he's 40 years old at this point or 60 years old? Because these things matter to not one person on the planet. But apparently everybody on social media, this is freaking the biggest thing ever.
1,000 Star Wars trolls cried out all at the same time, or
They
suddenly
got
silent.
a guy fired off of Wikipedia. So
Yeah, it's like,
sad.
God,
That's so sad.
like things I don't care about on this planet. Kiadi Mundy's age. Andrew Fantasia coming in the chat. Season 2 better be next year. Holy Kiadi Mundies. Yeah, again, like,
and I love your Imri Kamir hypothesis, Desi, but this is what I mean, where it's like, no, he's blonde, and he's not Filipino. Like, it's absolutely going to be that argument. But like, you raise a good point.
Depending on how old he is, if he is a Sith, he could have transferred his essence into a different body.
Okay.
And I'm just saying, if I'm going to pick a body and I'm a guy Sith, that's not a bad one to pick.
Fair enough. I'm in it. I'm all of the things you're putting out it's amazing. Both of you. I'm like, let's make it, print it. Kathleen Kennedy, hello.
She's fired, Brock. She's fired.
Oh.
Then she's available. We can make it happen.
We can make it happen. I thought, again, I thought this wrapped up this series a lot better than Ahsoka did. I don't know where, when we do our rankings on American Thanksgiving, I don't know where I will have this one yet. I think it is due for a rewatch. I think because the problem is episode 6, which was Desi and Heidi's least favorite television show in the history of TV.
No.
They said it multiple times a couple weeks ago on the show. They say it multiple. That episode I thought was like, that might be my favorite episode because I like the dark side. I'm like, just tell me more. Like, that's what I like. That's what I was hoping from this show was that episode, right? Like that. And then this episode is very strong. And obviously episode 5, when everybody gets wiped out, is wicked. So I don't like, and the highs are really high, but the lows are just like unbearably low. I'm still not sure how, like I said earlier, I don't know how time works. Like this ship is like, we got to leave. And the one ship left 4 days earlier, but they both arrived at the same time. I'm just not sure like where people are in the galaxy. There's little things that just kind of frustrate me. But what I said, Brock, what got me to that was I didn't know this was the only show of these Star Wars shows that I've watched where I didn't know what to expect each week, where I'm like, what are we going to get this week? Is it going to be am I gonna be like, that was awesome? Or am I gonna be like, what just happened? That was a half hour of witches doing some weird spell like this on the tea kettle ride at Disney. Like, I'm just not sure what was going on at the time. So, by the way, episode 7 was better than episode 3. The flashbacks.
Yeah. I turned it off before the singing. I have not heard the pop song yet.
No, that was. I didn't care for that.
This one had music, and then a song started playing, and I said, I can't do it anymore. And I turned it off, and I walked. I was like, I'm done. Just stop putting song. I know, Brock, you liked it. I don't want lyrics. I'm over the lyrics. Unless it's Boba Fett, I don't want lyrics.
I liked the Boba Fett song.
It was great. Boba Fett was great.
This was just a pop song. Like,
It was
I mean, here at Lilith Fair in the 90s.
Literally, I was watching it and I said something to Andrew. I can't remember what it was, and he goes, "Just to warn you, there's a pop song in the end credits." And I wrote LOL in capital letters. And then when it played, I sent him the Anchorman gift. If I thought you were joking, I wrote in my diary.
I'm trying to laugh about it later.
Yeah, I was like, why is there actually a song here? But Brock, you like the song?
I don't even remember seeing it.
Brock put the song. Brock has the song on his iPod on repeat. He has an iPod from 2004.
What is an iPod?
He is on repeat. It's in his Sony Walkman. He has the sport one that doesn't shake when you.
You know, it's not like Marvel where it's like, oh, I have to sit through the credits to see the end credit scene. As soon as I saw that the credits were rolling, I turned it off. So I never heard the pop song, and now I'm wondering. Should I have gone back at the end of this episode and seen if there was a post credit at the end of the credit?
Oh, good point.
I looked.
Okay. Okay, so there's not one. I didn't miss anything.
No.
Somebody tweeted, I can't remember who was there, like, what if the end credits had a trailer for Skeleton Crew? And I'm like, don't tease me. I want that. Like, I can't wait to see what Skeleton Crew is.
So before I saw this episode, my predictions for this episode were that Osha was going to kill Soul and bleed his Kyber crystal, and that there was going to be an end credit scene where we see Plagueis. It was in the middle of the show, so I was still right about that. But that was what I was guessing would have been an end credit scene if there was one. So I was surprised where they put it.
Take off your mask and reveal that you are KK. You're out! Fired! All right, let's go to the... Heidi, go.
You were talking about what happened to Mother Coral, and if we get season 2, maybe we'll find out. She was in the Wookiee's head. So Indara had to get her out, and when she did that, it killed all the witches, and we didn't see Coral's body. I'm wondering if Coral went into Indara's head, and that's why Indara made bad decisions.
Well, we saw Coral turn into smoke, so I thought she, went somewhere, or I don't know what she did, because whatever she did was obviously what... what's the other mama? I can't remember her name. The other mom, when she turned into smoke, what was she trying to do?
She was trying to she thought it was just a misunderstanding. This is what I was told, or somebody was watching who's explaining it. Soul thought that it was Osha. She thought that she was in danger from the witches and running to help. It was May running to say there's a fire and Osha's trapped. He saw the mother turn to smoke, and he saw what he thought was Osha turn to smoke, and he thought that she was killing Osha, so that's why he stabbed her. He thought he was protecting Osha, even though it was actually May, and she wasn't in danger of her mother. She was in danger because she actually set the whole place on fire.
But what was she doing? What does turning to smoke do?
They were
merging into one?
Yeah, to get her out of there, because she thought that May wasn't in danger from the Jedi, and Saul thought that Osha was in danger from the witches. So the whole thing is just a bunch of adults who don't talk, like today. like
we're talking. This is the problem with the show. Is it just didn't execute certain things properly, and you feel like that would have been like. That's why I didn't connect with the twins very well, because of that moment. But you had to, you watched the video where they talked about it, or listen to a podcast where they talked about it. It's like, we shouldn't have to hear people explain things to understand what's going on in the show. We should have subtitles on, and they should tell it to us.
Well,
all right.
AD.
From Soul's perspective, he did nothing wrong.
Right.
And I'm on Team Soul on this one. All right, here we go. Never tell me the odds.
Ability of successfully navigating an asteroid field is approximately 3,720 to 1.
Never tell me the odds.
Never.
Do I do the thing? It's been a couple weeks.
Yeah, let's do it.
Never tell me the odds. Brought to
you,
and me and James by patreon.com/Rebel Scum Podcast. If you like what we do, become part like these two awesome people and support us, because we like Star Wars. And this is the only way I see my friend, because he lives in the forest, and I forget what day it is.
I live on Brenda.
Come support us. Go head on down to patreon.com/Rebel Podcast and become one of the wonderful few. And I don't have the email open because I'm super late for this thing. So James, you do it first.
Do you want me to do it all, or do you just want me to stop halfway through?
Stop halfway, baby.
Executive producer, Heidi Fetter, Barry Brophy, Dennis Allen, Randy Kenobi, Mary Kristen Nathan, Dale Erdman, Phil Staniforth, Rez, Scott D, Josh Price, Matt W,
Frank Perkins, Neil Lowry, Cosmic Girl 02. That's right, I switch it up. Gleek Play 1, Den of Nerds, Disney Desi, Charlotte, Ron Prasak, and Jeff Wilson. That was weird. Let's never do that again.
How are you doing the confetti? I need to do confetti on my end.
I have the Force.
Oh, so does Osha, and Osha used it to kill without using a weapon. Who saw that one coming? I
kill
did,
or confetti.
Kill Fetty. I never tell me guys. Our first odd brought to us brought to us by the wonderful people over at Patreon. Not the people that create the app Patreon, but the people that support us on Patreon. Yoda will be a big role in season 2. This is based on if there is a season 2. Ratings would suggest otherwise, but it is. Make a good season 2 and people will watch it. Brock, I'll start with you. Yoda, big role in season 2.
I want to say they keep true to how High Republic has worked so far. Not really made him a centerpiece, but it's the TV show, so I'm gonna go 75%. He's pivotal in some way, or at the very least, it's like front and center first episode.
Does he?
I have little kids, so I watch Young Jedi Adventures a whole lot. And I would not say he plays a pivotal role in that show, but he still shows up from time to time. I think it's going to be more like that. I don't think he's going to play a pivotal role, so I'm going to give it 22% that he plays a pivotal role.
Ooh, Heidi.
I'm going to go 10% or maybe even 9% because I think live action for Yoda to speak, they want Frank Oz, and I think Frank Oz is getting to the age where he wants to retire. So I don't think.
AI it.
I think it'll just be cameos. Just you see him, but he doesn't speak. Maybe he just looks at somebody and frowns. I don't know. Maybe we'll see Yaddle.
I would love to see some Yaddle.
Yaddle and Yoda making baby Yoda. That is season 2.
I just want to say that it was confirmed. I know it's off topic, but it was confirmed that Grogu is not Yaddle and Yoda's son, but nobody said Grogu wasn't Yaddle or Yoda's son.
Oh.
So what you're saying is it was Yaddle and Yoda's son. I don't want to find out who Baby Yoda's parents are, okay? I don't need that in my life.
We're going to see a pregnant Yaddle in the next season.
1,000 years before Yaddle. Wait, are we at that? We're 100 years before.
100 years.
Not 1,000. I keep saying 1,000, and no one's correcting me.
Yoda wouldn't be alive 1,000
I
years
know. I was just thinking, Caddy Mundy's a problem. How about Yoda now? We got all sorts of problems. How old is Caddy Mundy? Don't answer that. Like if you walk around, if you literally are walking around like I got to go to the mall, I got to pick up this vinyl record, and I want to tell you all about Caddy Mundy's age. Maybe you need to get a life.
Why?
That was a weird sentence.
I just figure, like, you know, they're going to go get their
guy
like.
had 12 wives. How old could he be?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. But lad, we can just his age. Like, I'm not gonna argue over his age. I just don't care. Plagueis, never told me that. Plagueis will be a name we hear in season 2.
%.
I'm gonna go. Well, this is also based on if there is a season 2. I'm gonna go 67%. So we have a 99 and a 67. Brock.
I hate to agree with Desi, but she's right. No, I'm just joking. Yeah, it's like I hope not, because it's just like you can make a show and it doesn't have to be somehow attached to the movies. I know it is kind of hard because it's Star Wars, but like we could eat like the villains. Like Kamir's a pretty decent villain on his own. You don't, but it would be pretty sweet. It would be pretty sweet.
Heidi?
So yeah, 99.
I'm gonna go full Brock because if you do hear it, it's gonna be said by either Osha or Kamir or Plagueis himself. I don't think you're gonna hear, because maybe Yoda or Vanessa is her name. Maybe they'll say it, but none of the Jedi will probably say it because they're not gonna know about him because it's being kept secret.
All right, so I gotta tell you guys this. In reality, this is from Screen Rant. In reality, Plagueis only lived for about 115 years. I have not been on Twitter, but that would mean that in this episode, he's a baby.
No, because this is 100 years before.
So he's 15.
This is 100 years before the Phantom Menace. He is not currently alive as of the Phantom Menace. Sidious is the master and Maul is the apprentice.
So when did that happen?
So that could have happened like 20, 30 years before the Phantom Menace.
I'm very nervous. I'm very nervous.
He could still be 50 years old for all we know in this episode.
I'm gonna go. I already went. So let's go to our final ad from our friends over at Patreon. Never tell me the odds. There will be a season 2. There will be a season 2. Brock, you want to say something?
I gotta go full Brock on this because I'm like, I want it to happen. That's how I started the show. But like, I don't know. I don't know. I like this was a show that people were like, sorry, man, I couldn't get past episode 3. I'm like, I have nothing to do with the show. You do not need to apologize to me. Like, but it's just like, I don't know if it's gonna grab people. I don't know. Full Brock.
I'm gonna say I don't think there will be one based on the numbers, and as Scarif just said, the cost of the show was very, very high. But I think that if they did a second season, it could be very intriguing because they've set the groundwork up now for what we thought the first season was going to be about. So I'm going to go full Brock on season 2 because also the viewers weren't very high, but you could do a season 2, and if you nail it, if you make it really good, it's going to be on Disney and people will find it and they'll watch it. So if you make a good show, people will show up. Now, I don't know how you can tell if it's going to be a good show. If you thought this was going to be a good show and it didn't end up being a good show, that's all subjective. But I don't know. So Heidi, Desi, who wants to go first on season 2?
I'm gonna go 50.9 repeating only because I'm not sure because there was a lot of hate and the numbers weren't good. Now maybe the numbers will get better. Now that people can binge watch it. And I'm only giving that an extra little bit over because that's me hoping that we get the second season.
Desi?
I am going to execute Order 66. I think 66% it's going to happen. Maybe it's just me wishful thinking, but at least on my Twitter, right after the episode, when I went to go see what everyone was saying, maybe it's just because I follow a bunch of Raylo stans who are now Oshimere stans. Everybody was saying they wanted a season 2. I didn't see anyone, at least from what I saw, saying that they hated this finale and it should end here and not renew.
I mean, I will say if we don't get season 2, I hope we get a Chimere, something with Chimere in it, because I think he's probably one of the most interesting characters in a long time. And I've said this 1,000 times. You finally got a Star Wars villain. As much as I like Anakin and Darth Vader and Ben, Kylo Ren, they have the same personality. They're just brooding. That's it. And CBP, all he is maniacal laughter. We finally got a villain that's interesting. I mean, the series, whether you like it or hate it, they did Darth Jar Jar storyline correct, whether or not that was true, and they did the Raylo storyline correct. So I will give them props for that.
They did it. I think a season 2 could be very strong, but I thought I just Star Wars is in an interesting place right now, where I think we really need a movie. I think we need a movie in the theater really bad that we can all hate eventually. All right, let's go to top 5. Brock, is there news?
No.
News. I got a tan. I didn't get a tan. I don't tan. I go on vacation. I come back whiter. People are like, what happened? I'm like, so much sunscreen. Hawaii Tropics loves me. All right, top 5 moments from the season finale of the Acolyte. My number 5 is Pip peeing. Anytime Pip pees, I'm all in. Pip peeing, number 5. Heidi, what was your number 5 moment from the finale?
I'm going to say Yoda reveal.
Nice. Brock.
That's my number 5 as well, because it's just like that's cool, but like it's just easy. It's like, yeah, like you could you could be like, hey, this is my friend Sheev Palpatine. You'd be like, oh, but like it's just too easy. So yeah, put it at 5.
Desi?
I had Vanestra stepping off her ship and going, oh, it's you. You're alive. And Chimere immediately putting his helmet on.
That's a good moment. My number 4 is May versus Osha. The Moshe fight. I was a big fan of the Moshe fight. Moshe. Desi, your number 4.
I had the Yoda reveal as my number 4.
Oh, Heidi?
I'm gonna have the Moshe fight.
Nice. Brock.
My number 4 is gonna be Soul versus Chimere lightsaber battle, only because it should have been longer, but it was fantastic. And it's just like, why are you showing us these amazing visuals and then giving like we're done in 5 minutes? Like you could have done.
Soul has a story. Soul has a story not to finish coming up. He has a story. He has to cut. I'm going to tell you a story, but first, let's cut away. Number 3. My number 3 is Plagueis. We saw maybe Plagueis, maybe not Plagueis. It was definitely Plagueis. Heidi, your number 3.
Osha bleeding the lightsaber.
Ooh, Brock.
My number 3 is gonna be Plagueis hand, or just Brian the roommate. I don't know. I'm in on that. Like that's amazing.
Desi?
I had the bleeding saber as well for my number 3.
Well, my number 1 and 2 are going to make everybody here think very much less of me. My number 2 is it's Yoda because suck it, it's Yoda, and that's why Yoda's my number 2. Yoda's the best. Brock?
I'm gonna go number 2 is Kyber Crystal turning red. I'm like, you did it. It's canon. You've done it.
Yeah, but is that a better moment than Pip peeing?
No, stop
So
trying
close.
to sell it on me.
Does he?
I
2.
already. Oh, my number 2, the Plagueis or Brian the
Brian.
whatever we're calling.
His middle
Heidi, your
name
number
is
2?
Brian.
I thought I gave him number 2.
Did
Did I get
You
number
gave
2?
it to? No.
All right. I'm sorry. I'm tired.
Yeah, we're wrapping up.
I guess I'm going to go with Plagueis.
Plagueis. And my number 1, Saul versus Stranger / Chimere in the battle of how many times can he turn his lightsaber into multiple lightsabers and then back into one lightsaber and then back into multiple lightsabers. That is my number 1. It was short, Brock, I agree, but also the episode was only 40-something minutes long, and they needed to kill Saul with a Force joke, which was pretty cool. And that didn't make my list, though, but what freaking Pip peeing did. Desi, you're number 1.
My number 1 was the Raylo moment I never got originally. So the holding hands and looking off into the sunset.
What if they genuinely hate each other?
No.
And they're just like, we have to pose for Plagueis. We need to make Brian jealous.
Brian.
The way he said desire and looked at her, we know they don't hate each other.
Brock, number 1.
Passion is passion.
Huh?
The passion is passion.
My number 1 is the Virgin, something we never actually see, but I'm like, oh, I'm in. Please make a second season just to explain that. And I'm just like, nothing is really shown. It's just like, we made them. Show us. No, but we use the Virgins. I'm like, cool. Like, more about that. I don't need a villain. I don't need Plagueis. Just explain to me how you made life through the Force, and like, then we explain Anakin.
Before I read my number 1, I just want to ask: was I the only one who thought he said virgin in that episode?
No, definitely not. Definitely not. That's the last. I'm like, what? They going Shmi? They didn't go Shmi. And your number 1, Heidi?
The kosher moment at the end.
Oh. And those are our top 5. Let us know what your top 5 are in the comments below. This is episode 300. 129th episode of the Rebel Scum podcast. Thanks to Disney Desi and executive producer Heidi Feder for joining us today to discuss the season finale, not the series finale, maybe, but the season finale of The Acolyte. And The Acolyte and Brian is the name of season 2. The Acolyte and Brian, season 2.
Brian the Bot.
Anything you guys want to plug away at before we leave?
Well, if you like Raylo and Kosha, please go to Amazon.com and either look up my books, either under Heidi Feder or my pen name, Ann Drayton.
I'll be reviewing this show again tomorrow on the WDWNT TV channel.
Don't listen. Just this is where you want to be. No.
There's significantly more pip peeing talk on this podcast than over there.
Absolutely. Check
that
out
title
that
is actually Pit Peas. Brock, how was your vacation?
It was great. What is the new Raylo?
Osha
and
Mir.
Kamir? Okay.
I don't know.
I like Moshe.
Moshe. Moshe.
It's not
That's
Game of
cool.
Thrones. You can't have sister on sister.
I don't go on Twitter, so I'm not privy to this. But that's cool. I'm glad your community has a new thing.
Brock, thank you for this lovely shirt.
Walmart.
Do you know what's funny? You know what shirt I wore today? I wore my "You Had Me at Meat Tornado" shirt, and it dawned on me that you got me that shirt 10 years ago. 10 years ago. Every decade, Brock buys me a shirt.
Every decade.
This is our thing.
My shirt is from Black Spire Outpost, and the only reason I bought it is because it's got a typo on it in Arabic. It says Black Spire Outpost.
How did you find that out?
Because I'm a nerd.
Because Kiari Mundi is 47 years old at the time of it.
Actually, my T-shirt is Cat dressed as Tom Cruise in Risky Business called Whiskey Business, and I got it from a website called catsversuscancer.org. If you go there, they raise money.
Oh, cool!
Watching videos of cats. I just thought of that. That's what this shirt means. I just threw it on.
Love it.
Shirts. Yeah, go to catsversuscancer.org.
And that I just put that link in our description in the video, so you can check it out if you want, because that sounds nice.
I lost my fiance to cancer in 2016. So, if you're wondering why something like this is still single, anyway.
It's an awesome shirt. I love it. I've been admiring it all episode. I'm like, that's a good pun.
And you can find it on the link is in the description. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. We should do this again sometime to talk The Acolyte season 2. The fireworks are full on.
She's a witch.
This right here is Plagueis, if anyone was wondering.
Brian.
Do you see her body? That's Brian. Do you see
That's Brianna.
Brianna.
That's the mom that he lives with. That's how he lives in her couch.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. Hit the like, subscribe. We should say this at the beginning when people are watching, but like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. And until next time, Brock, you were always scum.
Rebel Scum.
Scumbags, thanks for watching. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up on our video. As always, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Rebel Scum Podcast, for all the latest videos.